Lockdown is one of the biggest crimes ever committed to the South African people, and you will get people in 5 years' time saying, "Ooh, I didn't support it." But at the moment,
All right, Bruce, 3, 2, 1. Bruce Fordyce, what an absolute pleasure and honor to have you here. I'm from Newcastle, and the Newcastle Harriers Club would be going berserk now.
okay, fantastic. No, yeah, Newcastle. I'm fond of. I've done a few what we call them gigs, like speeches and things in Newcastle, but also I started this thing in South Africa called Parkrun, and one of our favorite parkruns is actually in Newcastle at Grey Goose. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Just outside Newcastle, they have
cold in.
Yeah, freezing. That's where I had to cut my teeth as a rugby player.
Yeah, bony, hard grounds. Where you get lovely on your legs if you do score a try.
That's the thing. It's the first sort of field that you're hesitant in scoring, because the score behind the goalpost was gravel. It was hectic.
Yeah. If you have to slide across, it's not a pleasant experience. No. Don't worry. I mean, I told Faf, the Springbok Faf, I told him I was also number 9. I played for my under 15B team. And so I know a thing or two, you know.
Nice.
As a scrum half, you get to score. Okay. Yeah.
Nice. And
actually, Faf copied my old hairstyle.
That's right. Back then, you're right.
Yeah, my hair used to be down here and blonde, much prettier than Faf's hair.
Yeah, I must admit, I hope he ages like you. We were just talking before you got on here. You're 65 now, man. I must acknowledge you seem to be aging well. Are you still running, by the way?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm still running. Hobbling. I've got one. I don't want to put people off exercise, but I've got one dodgy knee, which is a bit short of cartilage. So if you're following behind me, you'll see that I've got a hobble, but I'm not in pain. I'm not really enjoying the marathons and the ultras anymore. I love the shorter stuff. But more or less in a week, I ran this morning 10Ks. So there you go. But my time would not give anyone in Nairobi a sleepless night.
I acknowledge you. 10Ks this morning. Fantastic. So Bruce, just a quick one. It intrigues me. I did a bit of research, obviously, on you, that you're actually born in Hong Kong.
Yeah. People can't believe that, you know. So the Chinese, we're everywhere. You know? We're everywhere. Just be very careful. And I can say Kong E Fat Choi, which in Chinese means Happy New Year, which we'll be saying next month. That's all I can say, by the way, I think. But no, my father was born in Ladybrand. My grandfather was the postmaster of Ladybrand. So interesting enough, this is how to make a potential girlfriend's eyes lid over with boredom. So when you say one of my hobbies is I'm a stamp collector, but I'm a stamp collector because I inherited an amazing stamp collection from my grandfather, who was postmaster of Ladybrand and was then made postmaster of Ladybrand and Basutoland, which is now Lesotho. So I've got an unbelievable collection there. But my father grew up there, and he said as a young guy it was fantastic. But when the hormones hit in, you think, is that it? Staring at flat-topped Free State mountains and collecting puff adders as a hobby, you know, what else do you do? So he thought, I need to see the world, and looking at sheep. So he said, I need to see the world. And the best way for a young man in those days, and the way it applies now to see the world, is to join the British Army. Because South Africa was part of the Commonwealth, as it is now. And so he signed up.
Wow.
You put your hand on it. He told me you put your hand on the Union Jack in front of a picture of the king, as it was in his day. You say, I swear allegiance to the crown, and you are a British soldier. And so he trained as an officer in a place called Sandhurst in the UK, and came out second lieutenant. And by the way, as he painstakingly pointed out to me, the correct pronunciation of lieutenant is lieutenant. That's the English way. It's the Americans and South Africans who call it lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
Yeah, lieutenant. It's a lieutenant. Anyway, when he was given a choice of regiments to go to, he chose a very famous regiment called the Gurkhas, who are based in those days in the Far East. And so that's why I was born in Hong Kong. But when we returned, when it was all over, we returned to South Africa.
Okay, yeah.
My sister was born in.
I think you were 13 at the time when you moved here. And tell me, I mean, is that where your genes came from? Him being a postmaster and actually running around delivering the post, or was it the gene?
he did do that. Now, once you're a postmaster, you don't do the post. But before that, he was a postal clerk in Barberton, and he rode a bicycle. And he'll tell you stories of seeing leopard in the bush and stuff like that. Well, he's sadly no longer with us. He would tell us stories about that. Incredible. So we have humble but very hard-working origins in South Africa. The postal clerk and then a postmaster.
Fantastic. Well, I want to get straight to your legacy. I mean, I remember we used to be glued to the TV, and I think we used to call you the White Zulu, but you're more fondly known as the Comrades King. And you ran a total of 30 comrades eventually. Isn't that was it 30?
Yeah, I ran 30, but that puts me nowhere near the most number of comrades.
Sure.
Louis Massane, Barry Holland have run 47 each.
Okay.
So I ran 30, which is a nice round number, and my 30th, by chance, en route to the finish in Durban, I caught Zola Bud, who was running her first Comrades.
Incredible.
And I went straight past her. Cheeky little imp, how dare you be ahead of me for several hours at the Comrades. So I went straight past her, and then I thought, no, don't be a fool. If you're not going to win the race, the biggest marketing opportunity of the decade is to finish the race with Zola. So I took her through, and we were a great. I was hurting like hell on the downhills with my old legs. They were really sore, and she was struggling on the uphills. So between the two of us, we were useless at everything, but we managed to keep each other going. And I have to rate it as one of the highlights, short of winning the Comrades, running the last lap of Kingsmead with Zola Bud. We had a reception. The crowd exploded when we came into the stadium. Incredible. And then we were doing 8 hours, 2.5 hours behind the leaders. And it was a memorable occasion. I thought that's a good time to call it quits.
Incredible. And another time that I found fascinating, one of your proudest moments, I mean, you started off as a member of the Anti-Apartheid Student Council and you wore a black armband, but I remember you sharing that you used to get booed and they used to throw tomatoes at you and all of this, and it actually was one of your proudest moments, standing up for that. I find that very intriguing.
Yeah, so no, there wasn't so like an anti-apartheid movement. I was part of the WITS SRC. And you know, when you're at university, if you're not passionate and pink in your political leanings, then you're not normal. And challenging everything father stands for, you imagine, and father who's an officer in the army, and I had long shoulder length hair. So, but what actually happened was that 1981 was the 20th anniversary of the Republic of South Africa, and the nationalist government celebrated 20 years of apartheid by having tank parades and flyovers, and remember those politicians in Homburg hats, wagging fingers at us and stuff and giving speeches. And then what they also did was got some sporting events to be part of the so-called celebration. The slogan at a university when I was there was "No cause to celebrate," and they made part of the Republic Day celebration. So our way of selfishly of being able to run, because I knew I had a good chance of winning, but to show our displeasure was to wear armbands. And I was the only one. There were armbands scattered throughout the field. I was just the prominent one because I won.
And you were on
TV.
I was
hated.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely hated. As I ran along, I mean, I had tomatoes thrown at me and a couple of eggs and boo. Ngwenya, who's a great mate of mine, and was on Robben Island with Nelson Mandela, and said, "Don't worry, we were cheering you on." They were allowed to watch television on Robben Island, but only sport.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So I was embarrassed. And you know what's astonishing about it is you look back and you ask people, you can't find anyone who will openly admit that they voted Nat or supported those politics, but they did. Put in my little rant now. In 5 years' time, you won't find a single person who is supporting lockdown. Lockdown is one of the biggest crimes ever committed to the South African people, and you will get people in 5 years' time saying, "Ooh, I didn't support it." But at the moment, oh goodness, they're going on about the matric students having their rages at the end of matric rage. Let them have their rage. And then they're saying 169 people positive. They had rage 3 days ago in Belito, and they tested positive. It takes 7 days before you show a positive. But anyway, that's a separate thing. People will deny that they supported lockdown, the state of disaster in 5 years' time, but at the moment there are people who do.
I hear you. It is quite a sense.
Still an angry young man.
I like that. That's the fire.
I'm quite clear.
I'm
still an angry young man.
That's the fire that you have in you, man. That's why you're such a legend, right? It's that fire in the belly.
That's why I know that I don't have to have testosterone shots at my age, because I'm pumping still full of testosterone.
Bruce, I must share with you. I think you've written 2 books on the Comrades, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I remember reading somewhere along the lines that you actually hated pain. Is that correct?
Everybody hates pain, but pain is part of the human condition. I mean, I guarantee you now, somewhere on your body, making this up, you've got a little zit on your back that's hurting you, or a tooth. Pain is part of the human condition, and it's how you deal with it. And it's funny. I hate pain, and yet I embrace it every day because I run. And when I get to hills, I hit them. I remember by the way, one of the reasons for the black armband, my friend Oret van Heerden, who was head of the Wits SRC at that stage, was put in detention for 10 months, solitary confinement. And he told me afterwards, when he came out of detention, when he was released, and they always knew they were going to be released because suddenly the quality of their food improved and they were allowed to exercise outside. Because the cops didn't want them to lay charges, and so they would start to suddenly give them fruit and stuff like that. So he knew he was coming out, and he told me the thing that he missed most of all. Now you would think not his girlfriend, obviously he missed her terribly, not joining with his mates. He said the thing I missed most of all was my lungs burning running up a steep hill, because I was in a flap, walk up and down. He said so the first thing I did when I got out of prison after kissing my girlfriend was not having a cold beer. I went to a mine dump and I ran up and down several times so that my lungs would hurt.
Incredible, incredible. And I suppose, obviously, very like brothers, maybe you two are like brothers in another life, because I find that you enjoyed that too. I was reading a story that when you were at Wits, at night, you would go and literally thrash it out around the field and really push you would... I think it was a time
I would thrash it out in the pub.
What
I would thrash it out in the pub. So the stories got twisted. So I'm going to throw in a quick ad for myself. I have written 2 books, and I've just, which is for novices, for first-time runners, running their very first. And what I've done is I've used my old training diaries as a source of reference for what I did as a first-time runner. So not Comrades that I won, just one, my first one that I finished. And I did something very anal. I don't know why. From day one, I kept a diary of every single run I went on.
That's fantastic.
And so that, by the way, is coming out early in the new year. And I think I've got a great name for it. I could call it Run Your First Comrades, or First Run, or something like that. I thought, no. Logo on the Comrades medal, which is pathetically tiny, by the way, is the logo of Hermes. And Hermes is the Greek god who was known as the winged messenger. Hermes was the one who brought the messages for the gods, god of the roads appropriately, and also the only god that could move from the old world to the new world. Not even Zeus, the king of the gods, could do that. So I have decided to call my book, I've called my book Winged Messenger, because before you run Comrades, you are that person. And after you have run Comrades, you've moved from an old world to a new, exciting world where you know you can do anything and nothing will stop you. So that's my ad for my book. It's coming out. Winged Messenger is going to be fabulous. And you'll enjoy it. It's got smut in it, and it's got It's got nudity and it's got all sorts of things in my book. It's not just about running. It's about life while you're running.
Yeah,
anyway, the nudity, by the way, is me with my best mate in a bath. My best mate who's now professor of the philosophy of law at Toronto University. And he sent me the photograph. He insisted I use it. Anyway, I've lost my point. Oh, no. So the point is my first run.
Yes.
The first run that I ever, with express purpose of running Comrades, was in 1976. And I did it at night, and I ran for 10 minutes around the Wits rugby fields.
That's
Not
right.
because I was brave. I was a coward.
Yes.
I didn't want anyone to see me in case I had to walk, which I did. And runners in the late 70s were not the common sight that you see now. So, you know, I looked running with my shoulder length hair and my slim body. I looked like a woman running. So people would stop and think I was in trouble and offer me help. Why are you running? Why are you running, doll? And I was like, oh, I'm fine. So I know night times for me were very strictly university behavior. There's a pub called the Devonshire, which doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. Okay, my name is in.
Amazing. So I mean, Bruce, I remember you had one, was it 8 or 9 consecutive, and then you actually, there was a year where you skipped it and you actually came back and won again. If I'm not mistaken, you actually went to America, didn't you, and go and run in the States?
No. So what happened was I did run a race in the States, but that was in the second half of the year. When Comrades is in June, I ran a race, and I ran the US 50-mile champs in Chicago. And they wanted to kick me out of the race because I was a South African, and 2 things saved me. One was my black armband that I had worn 4 years before, because the community there and the Chicago people are politically very active, big African-American community. They said, you know what, he wore an armband, he's a good guy, he can run. And secondly, 2 nights before, Desmond Tutu won the Nobel Prize for Peace.
Oh, wow.
And those 2 things made him think. So I owe the Archbishop. So I ran that race. But no, what happened was I won 8 Comrades in a row. But at that stage, we had never run the standard distance. Comrades is a weird distance. It varies between 87 and 91 Ks. The standard distance in the world is 100. And the world leaders used to say, you South Africans boast that you're the best. And by the way, in Chicago, the second guy was an American. I beat him by 20 minutes. So we murde, but they still didn't believe we were the best. So they were kind of saying you have to run 100 Ks to be the best. So we put on our own 100K race, and we invited runners from around the world, the best, to come in Stellenbosch. And that was in February of 1989. And there was big prize money. That was the other thing. I'd never won any prize money. There was no prize money in my day, but there was big prize money for this race and the runners in the world. So only about 50 runners. And so I wanted to run that race to prove that I could run a great 100K, to beat the best in the world, get some prize money. But I knew the cost would be that I would not be able to recover in time and run that year's Comrade. So
I see.
That's
okay.
so
that's why.
Yeah,
but
I came back the following year,
right? Yes.
won one.
Yeah,
and I won one. Yeah, but
incredible.
after that I was too old.
Incredible. But you know what intrigues me is that it would be a highlight in anybody's legacy and in their life if they had won just one. You won 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. What is it, Bruce, that absolutely differentiates you from those type of people? Because today they have visualization. They have visualization. People do yoga. What habits? What was your rituals then that gave you this iron? The reason why you're in household name today. What was that?
Well, so it's a few things. Okay, first of all, I chose my parents very carefully, so my genetics are perfect.
The postmaster.
Yeah. Strong legs, good heart, good lungs, no brain cells. It's a really stupid thing to do. Anyway, there was that. Then I hit upon a training program which worked, and I didn't ever change it. I jiggled with it a little bit. I might decide, I need a bit more hill work or a little bit more speed work or something, but I more or less kept the same. And the build up from January to end of May when Comrades was, you can see all my years was almost the same, and I would get the same answers. And you get an answer not by running a long distance race. You get an answer by going and running a 5,000 meter or 10,000 meter race just before Comrades. And when you get a great time, it's telling you you're ready. So there was that. And then there's the Lord of the Rings part of me. I mean, you know, Schmeagol.
Yes, yes.
With the ring, not being able and wanting the ring and not wanting to take the ring off. When you have won Comrades, let me tell you, when you win the men's race and you come into the stadium, they give you a baton, and the baton is in black and gold, and it's the colors of the Comrades Marathon. And inside it is a rolled up message from the mayor of the one city to the mayor of the other city, and they read that out. And you carry that baton for the last lap. I can tell you it is like a light. I get goosebumps now thinking about it. It's like a lightsaber. It's like a magic wand. All the pain vanishes, and that last lap, there's not a single winner of the Comrades Marathon, male winner, who hasn't raised that thing up in the air as you go, because it's like, oh, I don't believe this. I'm going to win. And so it's a little bit like that ring. You don't want to take it off, and you don't want to hand it to say you want the baton next year as well. The lady winner, by the way, carries a rose, and I think they always prick their finger on one of the thorns. So it's not as great as the baton is something. And and I loved winning. And then also it became, though I said there was no prize money, it became my way of life, because once you've won a few, people want you to guest speaker, they want you to do this appearance. I appeared in TV ads. It became my job after a few years, and win was absolute. And I was very good at making sure on that day, every year, I was at my best. That I would run about 5.5 hours.
Wow. But then later on, however, it's just interesting how you carried on running. I mean, you were finishing at 91, 300 and something at one stage, and no ego identity got in the way. I mean, you are celebrated in every household in this country still, and yet you still pitched up. How did you deal with coming in the 300s? Compared to this Iron Man that kept on winning?
You know what? Once I had won a few, I was set free. You set free to enjoy your running. Yeah. And once I had more than anybody else. So there's a group of Comrades runners who've won 5. Wally had great names: Wally Hayward, Hardy Ballington, Arthur Newton. I'm going to leave somebody out. Jackie Meckler. And then there's one lady, Elena Nogalieva, who's won 8, but she wasn't around when I was winning. So once I had won 6, I was almost set free, because now I'd won the most, and I was set free to run as I enjoyed, and I enjoyed it. But the last one that I won, if I analyze the tactics, the time, what happened in that race, my body was telling me it's over. It's like a boxer who's stepped in the boxing ring. Because I was cunning, because I knew what to do, but I knew that I couldn't. I would not be able to fool the rest of the field, these youngsters. And every year there's a fresh crop of young wolves snapping at you.
Absolutely,
so eventually I'm not going to be able to stop them much. And for me, it was a great honor that my mate, Nick Bester, won the first one that I had won. We great mates, He some unsporting things about me on the finish line when he won. And he wrote me a letter a week later, apologizing beyond belief, and we have been mates ever since.
Wow. I remember the battles. I remember your battles with Nick. I remember he was quite a frisk dude, right? And I always remembered.
No, Nick is a parabatter. He's a tough guy. Yeah. To tell you how tough he is, he's a parabatter. And what's his greatest fear?
Heights.
He's that A-type person. Yeah. If I put Nick on my kitchen table, he'll get vertigo. And so what do you do when your biggest fear is heights? No, you jump out of planes with a parachute and force yourself to. That's the kind of guy I had to race against. Alan Robb was an unbelievably good runner. He won 4. Yeah. Isaiah Charlie never won it, but everything else. Our horse was a terrible guy to race against. So I had some hard competition. Mark Page.
That's right. Yeah, absolute legends. But I mean, it's the same as, what do you do if you hate pain, right? You become Bruce Fordyce and you win nine comrades. It's the same thing, really.
Make sure that Make sure that you run this race where your toenails come off towards the end. It's such fun.
So, Bruce, I know probably a little bit of pub talk. People do exaggerate, but there was a story going around that you would have your tackies next to your bed in the morning. Now, it's freezing in Joburg. There's traffic and all sorts of shit going on. And you would literally get out of bed, put your tackies on, and run to the first 2 lampposts or something. And only then would you, if you wanted to turn around, you would then. But obviously, you never did. Just that habit. Is that an accurate habit that you used to do, a ritual of some sort, so that you wouldn't get sabotaged by your thinking and feeling?
No. So what it is, there's a great writer in America called Joe Henderson, and it's called the Joe Henderson 10-minute test. He said, no matter what run or session that you have planned for yourself, go for 10 minutes. And if you're feeling terrible, you don't feel like it, go for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Invariably after minutes you feel great again, and so you continue this. But if you still feel terrible after 10 minutes, go home.
Yeah. What a fantastic technique.
Many times that I've done.
What a fantastic technique. Wow. It's like biohacking your mind and body at the same time, right? Very, very powerful. I mean,
I think it applies to a lot of things. Have a go, and then if it's really not working, give up. But don't give up before you've been started, because that's
Sure.
Well, I was sensible enough to know when I was overtrained and I needed to have an easy run. I knew you.
Bruce, any like impactful advice that you could have out there for anyone, or even share with us like something that people don't know about you? Any interesting facts?
The thing that's giving me the greatest joy and pleasure, which is so frustrating at the moment, is Park Run.
Yes.
We started in South Africa. 5K is free on a Saturday morning. You can walk. No one will laugh at you. We will take your time. You can be last because we have one called a tail walker who goes at the back.
Okay.
We have 1.2 million. We have 230 different venues around Southern Africa, because we're in Namibia, we're in Swaziland, and we cannot run. We cannot run because of lockdown. Meanwhile, in an open air, clean, fresh environment, you have about 0 chance of catching COVID. We cannot run because of the 500 limit. I am going demented. We are trying to think creatively. We cannot have weights. We cannot have people going on, some on Saturday and some on Sunday. Parkrun's very strict rules of how it works. It's our great comeback. And so for all the park runners out there, don't worry, we are trying as hard as we can. And I have a critical meeting tonight. We have got to get that back. We've got to get our nation fit and healthy. And it's more about communities. People can't wait to see each other. When I tell you, some of these little people there, they got their park run on a Saturday morning. Port Alfred Park Run, the volunteers who run are the ladies from the old age home. They cannot do 5Ks. They cannot walk or run it.
Wow.
But the greatest sense of purpose that they told us that they have every week is standing on the route with a stopwatch, taking times, or with a flag as a marshal on a corner. And COVID and these ridiculous lockdown rules have taken it away from them. So now they stand on a Saturday morning staring at the television and drinking tea with too much sugar.
Well, Bruce,
we're desperate to get it back.
I'm sure the good times are on their way again. I just want to really acknowledge you, not only for really putting our willpower and stamina out into the world, which you did as a runner, but you continue to make a ripple effect of love across this country with the park runs and your dedication to people across South Africa. So I really acknowledge you, and I want to thank you personally. It was a privilege and honor having you on this morning. Much appreciated.
Thanks very much, Brett. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Fordyce, thank you very much. Thank you for supporting the Brett Shuttleworth Show. I trust that all these beautiful podcasts are making a ripple effect in your heart and making a difference in your lives. So don't forget, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell to catch new episodes. It's only 27 minutes with a new guest every fortnight. Don't miss out on these amazing podcasts to come. And I love you very much.